Hi, I'm Joe, and welcome to another episode of Coffee Breaks with Nebraska Strong Recovery Project. Our project works with people who were impacted by the flooding in March of 2019 here in Nebraska. We offer emotional and stress management support to people who were impacted directly by the flooding. The YouTube offshoot of our project, Coffee Breaks with Nebraska Strong Recovery Project, helps to reach a wider audience of people who may have been impacted by other disasters outside of Nebraska, as well as this one. Today, we were going to talk a little bit about stress management techniques and coping practices, and I want to start by talking first about the definition of stress according to the Center for Disease Control. So stress, according to the CDC, is our body's reaction to adverse or challenging situations that we may encounter in the world. These reactions include cognitive, hormonal, respiratory, and cardiovascular changes to our actual bodies. I think it's important to point this out because we talk a lot about stress in our society, and especially in the wake of a natural disaster, but we don't often know the clear definition of what stress is. And I think it can really help us if we start to understand what it is and how it impacts our body so that we can begin to cope with it. The CDC offers a few tips and tricks to kind of help people who are experiencing a lot of stress to cope better with stress. So we're going to go over those tips, and hopefully they can help you get through a stressful situation. So the first tip is to avoid drugs and alcohol. It may seem like a good idea to have an extra glass of wine at the end of a long, stressful day, but actually it can really have long-term detrimental effects to your body. So the CDC advises to just avoid it altogether during heightened stress times. The second tip is pretty basic, but actually it's something that we fall away from when we're in high stress situations, which is to take care of yourself. So basic things like eat regularly balanced meals, scheduled or at least 2 or 3 times a day, and to do some light exercise and drink lots of water. These things, which we normally do, sometimes fall by the wayside when things are really stressful. So if you do them, it helps cope with stress. The third tip that the CDC offers is to talk to others. This may seem like a no-brainer, but heightened stress times can make us often feel very isolated and anxious. So if you have a support group or clergy or friends, family, anything like that, it's very good to just talk about how you're feeling. Get it out of your chest. We also offer the Nebraska Rural Response Hotline, as well as the National Disaster Distress Helpline. And those are also great resources for you to talk to someone, maybe that you don't know. The fourth tip that the CDC offers is to take breaks. So we're coming up on the anniversary of the year from the flooding here in Nebraska, and so there's going to be a lot of media coverage, a lot of people talking about what happened in Nebraska, and a lot of times that can be very overwhelming for people who experienced it directly. So if you're watching the news and it's just the same thing over and over again, shut it off and take a walk. Breaks like that can really help get you out, see the trees and the flowers, and that sort of stuff will really help kind of break the stress from continuing to build. The fifth tip that the CDC offers is to know when you need more help. And I think this is really important. If you're getting to a point where you can't do your normal daily activities, or you feel like you're drowning, or maybe you're starting to have some suicidal thoughts or ideations, that's when it's time to call in for backup. So talk to your doctor, talk to a medical professional or a mental health professional, and just get checked out. These kinds of things are common in the wake of a disaster or in heightened stress situations. But it's important to know that you're not alone and that there are professionals who can help you if it's too much. And it's super important to be creative. So if you're in a shelter, for example, you might think it's impossible to get, a full night's sleep. And so you have to just kind of be as creative as you possibly can. So if you're staying in a shelter and there's 50 people in the shelter, if you can get a pair of headphones and pull your beanie over your eyes, you're way more likely to get 5 or 6 hours of sleep than you would be if you were just trying to lay on your cot. So just being really creative in how you work the tips can really help when there are challenges like a disaster. Finally, I just want to wrap up by saying that worrying, I don't think, is a very productive emotion. And so I like to always say, don't worry, but paint, or don't worry, walk, or dance, or run, or plant a garden. And anything constructive instead of destructive, like worrying, will help you through a really stressful situation. So thanks. I hope these tips really help you through a difficult, stressful situation. Again, I'm Joe, and this is Coffee Breaks with Nebraska Strong Recovery Project.